Yes, yes, and more yeses. It's the reason for the season. It's springtime in the Rockies. And what does that mean? Catching up with my friend George Eder, owner of Pizza Republica. We're in Landmark right now, George. This is a fantastic day.
This is a great day.
You know why?
Major League Baseball on television, fresh meats and cheeses, and the sun's out.
And you have new menu items.
We got new menu items.
Okay, today on the show, the Modern Eater Show, we're going to show you some cooking. We're going to head over to Chef Mike right now. We're going to check out some of these new menu items, George. But I got to say to you, it's going to be an exciting show because not only are we going to focus on the food and beverage, we're going to have some of the local purveyors and partnerships that you have with us. Who's going to join us today?
We're going to have Danny Keefe from my friend Danny's Wine Company, which is
Grapes, the Grape Juice Company.
Grape Juice Group.
The Grape Juice Group.
And then the guys from FarmBox Foods. They're bringing some great mushrooms from down in Sedalia.
And then introduce this gentleman here, and let's get into cooking some food because we're going to sit down.
This is Chef Mike Lynch.
How's it going?
He helped develop all these dishes. So we try and keep everything authentically Italian and super flavorful.
What are you cooking right now, Mike?
Right now I'm making our bucatini di mare. So I was sweating some garlic, shallots, chili flake, and a little bit of butter. Deglazing with some white wine. And then we cook it in our tomato saffron broth. Everything scratch made in-house.
Woo!
Oh, yeah.
So when you talk new menu items, George, why? First of all, going into spring, a lot of times that's very normal. Season changes, seasonality on the menu. But when you do a menu change, does that mean something wasn't working and you need to do something? Or what's the mindset kind of coming out of COVID and things loosening back up? You had a really great thoughts about why you were changing up the menu a little bit.
We're bored. So it basically boiled down to spring is always fresh and new beginnings. And coming out of COVID, we had such huge supply chain issues that we had to skinny the menu back and take things off and kind of reduce the creativity, which that's not what makes us tick, right? We want to be creative, we want to try new stuff, and we want to have some fun, more intricate dishes. So as things are starting to opening back up, starting to get vaccines out there, weather's getting warmer, people are getting happier, we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I thought at first this is a great time to really start to open up our culinary cookbooks and bring some fun new stuff. So that's why we had added these 7 new items to the menu.
So when people think of Pizza Republica, they think of what? Pizza, right? Pizza's not going anywhere. All the mainstays are going to be here on your menu, right?
Yes.
What are you adding?
We're adding crab cakes, which are just crazy delicious, grilled octopus, bucatini di mare, spinach and sage gnocchi, spring pea and mint ravioli, a roasted Tuscan mushroom salad that's just phenomenal. And then, of course, we have all of our pizzas and normal things that we have on the menu that are staples. Like you can't get rid of rigatoni bolognese. That was kind of your first dish with us. Mm-hmm. And that's never going away.
Yeah, you can't make that go away. So, Chef Mike, when George comes to you and says, okay, changes, they're going to come, do you get excited? Do you get a little nervous with it? Where do you begin when you start talking about changes on the menu?
It's a little bit of everything. I usually start with seasonality, coming into which seasons we're coming into, which produce is going to be available during that time. And then we try to balance what we do here, so we have a lot of light, fresh vegetables, and it's just kind of trial and error. You sit down, you try some new menu items, you might have an idea of what you're going to do, and then it might sit down and taste it and have an idea and change it. So, it's just kind of working together as a team and working through the items.
So taste it, and taste it again.
Taste it again. So
yeah.
We started off with one tasting with just kind of Judd and Mike and I, and then we tasted with all the managers and all the sous chefs in the kitchen, and then we tasted it with all the staff. And out of each one of those tastings, we get a little bit of feedback. Everybody has a little thing, and as we taste that, then we have a little extra left over, and we give it to the guests, and we get their feedback. And then
you refine it.
You narrow it, you refine it, and that's where we got to where we're at today.
So when you're talking about kind of the food chain being broken, and we all know that it was, and a lack of certain ingredients that you want, and vendors kind of being sporadic with their offerings, Right now, when you see it open back up, what kind of things are you looking at that you're able to utilize that you weren't really before last year?
A lot of it with volume, you get to, volume fixes a lot of things in the restaurant world, right? So if you can continually make a dish and you make a lot of it, you want it to be fresh, and you don't want to have, like, nothing's worse than ordering a case of mushrooms and throwing half of the case away because you didn't sell it. So when COVID started, some supply chain you couldn't get, some things that were based on super fresh and bountiful harvest stuff, we just didn't bring in because we know we're not going to sell it. Like, I don't want to sell, frozen buffalo mozzarella cheese.
Just take it off the menu.
Take it off the menu.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So far so good. You're just commanding this, Chef Mike, but it gets busy in here. Can you, the consistency, the things that you want to do with your dishes, especially both of your locations are really interesting because a lot of them are really event-oriented, being next to the Comedy Works and being next to the Downtown Convention Center. You got to also have items on your menu that you can expedite fairly quickly, right, George?
Yes. And when we put a dish together, the thought process that we go through is how do we make this executable and fast at the same time? So that's a lot of what we're really focusing on, is being able to execute these with speed.
Look at them.
And light, freshy, healthy dishes are actually the easiest to execute.
Oh, I love it. When you can cook with fire, cook with fire. That's what I say. Look at that. Just so, and it screams spring to me because it's so colorful, it's so beautiful. Just delicious ingredients. We have the FarmBox guys here with us today, and we're going to learn a little bit about their business in the segments to come here. But utilizing those local partnerships to be able to kind of be the feet on the ground, so to speak, to bring you the best of the best offerings. Do you like when new purveyors come to you and show you their, you have
I do,
to, right? Yeah.
I like seeing new stuff. Mike likes seeing new stuff.
All the time.
You can get bored in a kitchen really, really quickly. And when you find something that's, game changing, to find a giant mushroom that just speaks to you when you see it.
It's true.
I've been bringing people back into the back and showing them those mushrooms for, 3-4 weeks now. And just watching people's eyes light up. I didn't know a mushroom could be that big.
Yeah, they're great. They're huge mushrooms. So, Mike, in the kitchen here, is there a call to action? Is there anything out there that you're looking for right now that you're trying to find or source? Anything that we can be of help with? Or you got it under control?
It's kind of just an ever-changing beast that we're trying to figure out our next step as we go.
Do you serve steaks on the menu?
We've served some steaks. We don't have any on this menu because we're starting to see the menus shift to be very vegetarian-centric. So meat's slowly going away. It doesn't go away completely, but I'm looking at like a couple other projects. So we're doing some like braised, pulled like chuck roast and those kind of things in the healthier meal prep category. So we're starting to look at a couple options on that. We've had steak on the menu in the past, and really that mushroom salad is going on a full steak presentation.
All right, Mike, give us a play-by-play. What are you up to, Chef?
All right, I'm about to plate our spinach and basil gnocchi. We did some charred tomatoes with a little bit of shallots and garlic. The tomatoes are baby heirloom tomatoes. I'm going to sneak behind you real fast and grab this balsamic.
This is basically a warm caprese for summer.
And we do make the mozzarella from scratch that we use for it. It's our house-made mozz that we put on our pizzas. This is some balsamic glaze, and we'll finish it with a basil flower.
You can hear me oohing and on over here.
And that's that.
At the landmark Pizza Republica, catching up with Chef Mike and George Eder right now. This is really what it's all about. As regulations starting to loosen a little bit, we've got some great conversations. In segments ahead, we're going to go, where are all of the restaurant workers right now? Get back to work. It's time to go. How are things here, George? What kind of capacity you're at in the restaurant?
I think we're at 75%, but it still has a 6-foot distancing rule apply. So we're really at 35%.
Exactly.
So,
right?
you know, if we, I'm going to keep the 6 foot distancing until they tell us we don't need it anymore. But it's starting to open up outside, and we're getting more and more seating and more guests with that. You know, we're Colorado. People love to be comfortable and sit outdoors.
As Chef Mike wraps this up here and we're plating these dishes, go ahead, Chef. What do you got? What are you up to right now?
This is our new Octopus Appetizer. So we have some charred broccoli, some cannellini beans, a little bit of red onion, little cherry tomato as well, and then we have our confit octopus.
I am not mad at you.
Confit and then grilled, and then I'll hit it with a little fresh lemon zest for a little extra pop.
Can we try this octopus right here, George?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's try this right here because I don't want to sit down. We've talked about octopus a lot of times.
I'm getting you a fork.
What's the pros and cons about octopus, George?
Pros and cons are either getting it where it's cooked or not cooked. So a lot of octopus comes in where it's already cooked. We want to control that process, so we get this in raw. Mike confits it, so he cooks it really low heat in a garlic oil to almost poach that octopus. This way it's not cooked all the way through, and when we go to grill it, it doesn't get rubbery.
There's zero fat content, right?
Not a lot of fat in octopus, no. So you need to replace that with different oils and whatnot.
All
Let me
right.
get you a fork and a knife.
This octopus I'm looking to try. Go ahead, Chef, take it over. What are you up to now?
Get after it. This is our bucatini di mare. So we are cross-utilizing our octopus in this entree as well. It's a tomato saffron broth with a little bit of clam stock, some fresh herbs,
Get yourself some of that
some garlic,
sauce with
fennel, carrots.
Take a big old slice.
Really light and refreshing. We got a couple crostinis of our house-made ciabatta bread. I'm gonna shave over the top some fresh botarga, which is some cured fish roe. And that'll give it kind of like that salty kind of flavor like a Parmesan would.
Have you had botarga before?
These are exciting dishes. I have not. Can you please explain what that is, George?
Botarga is cured mullet fish roe from Sardinia.
What?
So, Mike, let me see that botarga over here for Greggy
Sir,
with the shaver.
the shaver.
I wish I need my phone to be able to take
So
pictures.
these are the egg sacs of the mullet fish. Essentially what caviar is. Okay? So this is a
Wait,
delicacy.
where's the egg sac? This whole
This whole
The
thing
whole
is
thing.
the egg sac. This is all fish eggs that have been cured. Okay? And then you take this.
What in the world does that taste like?
Give me your hand. So in Sardinia and Sicily, this is a delicacy. So you just put that over pasta with some oil and just eat it just like that.
Now you don't want me to eat it just
Eat
like
it
that.
just like that. Eat it.
Are you sure?
It's delicious.
No foolies.
No foolies.
All right, here we go.
Like this is essentially like gold in Sardinia.
So it's got a kind of a lemony and a salty,
Mm-hmm.
very pleasant taste to it.
Yeah, a little
Wait,
briny,
now-
a little seafoody.
Now, yep.
Okay, it all rolls together. Botarga is a really interesting thing, and you go to any diehard Italian, botarga is like this. This little piece is like $60. It's expensive.
Wow. And you do shavings of that.
Oh yeah, it's like truffles.
Okay. This is what I want to try. Now, George, you know I'm hit and miss with octopus, but I like anything that's done right. So I'm going to give you my fair. So I got to approach this right? Get the chef's bite. A plus. It's got that mouthfeel that you want. It is not rubbery. That's a delicious bite. Wow, well done. Chef Mike, hats off.
Appreciate it.
And I can imagine around this plate, it's just as savory and delicious.
Octopi.
Octopi.
I can't. I die. That's delicious. Okay, we're going to bring these dishes out. We're going to take a break.
Batarga. Batarga over the top.
Jay, my mouth is full. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back. What I want to do is while we walk out here and go into break, I want to show you the outside of Pizza Republica so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. Open for business. What are the hours of operation, George?
Hours of operation right now are kind of a flexible thing as we're coming out of this crazy COVID time. Right now, 11 to 2, and then we shut down from 2 to 4, reopen 4 to 9 during the week and 4 to 10 on the weekend. But come May, we'll start to open up throughout the day again.
2 sessions, basically what you're saying, lunch and dinner.
Yep.
Right?
Kind of old school New York layout.
Patio's cool. I'm telling you, at Landmark, do yourself a favor. Things are opening back up. Patio's cool. Let's take a walk out if you don't mind. We'll take a stop by, show the mushrooms real quick, and then we'll show the outdoors, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back, and we got to pair some
Sweet.
wines.
Oh, wine is coming.
So these mushrooms are the talk.
These mushrooms are the talk.
Take a look at these babies.
Like, these are the craziest mushrooms ever. These mushrooms are spectacular. So these are blue oyster
I'll hold
mushrooms.
this for you, sir. Blue oyster mushrooms, and again, these are hydroponically grown, right?
And these
Look.
are a little small, but these are king oysters.
Put your microphone up to your face.
These are king oysters from my buddies at FarmBox Foods, and these things actually eat like a steak. They are spectacular.
They are a king.
Not a tiny mushroom.
Look at that. Beautiful mushrooms, and that's what you want. You have a mushroom pizza too, don't you, George?
Yeah, we use these on the mushroom pizza as well.
All right, let's sneak back out of here. I want to show you the patio before we break off. This is what it's all about as we are getting back into it and restaurants are getting going. Perfectly new spring items on the menu. This is the Pizza Republica in Landmark. You also know the downtown Pizza Republica as well. So when you look through the dining room here, anything that has a red tablecloth on it means that it is not seatable. The tables that don't have tablecloths are where you can sit. Again, this is between lunch and dinner, and George is bringing our plates of food out. We're going to go check out outside here real quick. If we could, George, I want to show this outside dining, and then we'll break away and come right back. You just hold that up to your mouth there, George. Look at this bar. It's so great to see people at the bar. All right, look at this bad boy. Tell us what we're seeing.
So this is our outside patio area. We're gonna have this tent up until the end of April. And then right there on the corner, we're gonna be adding a giant outside bar, about a shipping container. And we're converting it to a super fun bar that's gonna be on the corner.
Now, how fun is that gonna be?
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
All right, it's the reason for the season, springtime. It's menu changes. It's opening up a bit, and it's going to be patios. And you can't think of a better patio than this one right here with my friend George Eder at Pizza Republica in the Landmark. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back. And it's the Grape Juice Group.
Grape Juice Group.
That's going to be next right here at Pizza Republica in Landmark. The Modern Eater Show continues.
Hey guys, Alex Armitage over at Sam's number 3 Glendale. You want a Bloody Mary? You want a cheeseburger? You want a breakfast burrito? Greek salad? Bacon gyro meat? Chicken souvlaki? Barbecue ranch salad? We got you covered. Come down and see us. One more time. Try it again. Hey guys, Alex Armitage over here at Sam's number 3 Glendale. Now get your ass to themoderneater.com. Thank you so much.
Modern Eater, we love you guys. This is Amber with Northern Colorado Potatoes, reminding everyone that potatoes grown here are truly rooted in love and rooted in a long history of being grown in this area. Early 1900s reports show that this was either the largest or one of the largest potato producing areas in the nation. Other states have had some amazing branding, but don't forget we have all your favorite varieties and more you love to cook and eat, including russets. Support local potatoes, you won't be disappointed.
Hey guys, it's Caroline Glover. I'm the chef owner of Annette out at Stanley Marketplace. Citrus is about to be in its prime, and you're watching the Modern Eater Show. I'm fine with that.
Right now, let me tell you about Jeff Rourke and A+ Beverage Solutions. He's the man with the plan when it comes to tap installations and tap maintenance. Jeff Rourke is the most trusted man in the business. 20-plus years, family-owned and operated, does great work, and you might be knocking the rust off of your bar or restaurant and getting things tuned back up. He's the guy to call. If you're pouring inefficient beer, Jay, what are you doing?
You're pouring your money down the drain.
Money. Don't do that. Foam is money. Get a hold of Jeff Rourke, A+ Beverage Solutions. Tell him what you need done. He'd be happy to come out and just take a look for you. Here's the phone number to give him a call, 720-272-3809. One more time, 720-272-3809. It's Jeff Rourke and A+ Beverage Solutions. Okay, back at it from Pizza Republica in Landmark. The Modern Eater Show continues. We're about to release the Kraken. We have a bunch of hungry guys ready to go. This is the new items on the menu, George. It looks fantastic. Chef Mike did a great job.
Chef Mike crushed it.
All right, not Tracy, but Danny, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good to see you. The Grape Juice Group. We're going to talk wine here in just a second. And, of course, my friend James Doxson, Chef James Doxson here with us, too. All right, everybody jump in. Let's grab some delicious food. And I got to go right to the ravioli because this looks fantastic. I'm going to grab one of these. What are you going to grab, James?
I'm going to grab a little of everything, I think.
I think you should.
It looks amazing. Look at all these springtime flavors and colors.
So, George, you do tastings fairly often as well, too, right? You bring in influencers to talk about the food and those types of things.
We do. You know, we start with our staff, and you know they have the best things to say, and then we try it out with all of our guests, and then we try it out with our friends and vendors, and then I'll invite some Instagram people in, and we'll taste with that. Because to me, the more feedback you can get, there's always a little tweak you can make here, a little tweak you can make there.
For me at the Modern Eater Show, it's all about community. It's all about local businesses doing business with other local businesses. We have the guys in the next segment from the FarmBox who are going to talk about some delicious products that they give you guys here.
Best mushrooms I've ever seen.
These are pretty cool. So we'll be doing that as well.
This is amazing.
A little bit of food. What do you got there?
I have a little of everything. I had the crab cake, and it was like having happiness in my mouth.
Look, speaking of that, Danny, let's sit down. We'll have a little bit of wine. First of all, talk about the Grape Juice Group.
Well, Grape Juice Group, we are a Denver, Colorado-based national importer, and we work with European wineries. So we are our wines are available all over the United States in all 50 states, and we just love wine and we love people. So we try to bring hidden discoveries and fun things to people that normally they wouldn't have access to.
When you work with a guy like George Eder, who's very particular, he knows his taste, he knows what he wants, and he knows his restaurants. George, you've said time and time again, I carry all Italian wines.
100% Italian.
Yeah.
And they're spectacular. To this day, the best Italian wine find I've had has been from Danny.
Oh, thank you, George.
Yep.
Explain. This is the wine you turned me on to, right?
The Daniele Conterno Barbera. I think when we first met, we brought Bolognese and I brought Conterno's Barbera.
Yep.
Because to me, for the bang for the buck is what you're looking for in wine. Like, who can make the best wine that drinks like a $100 bottle for $20?
I'm glad you said that. What does a $100 bottle of wine drink like?
Like heaven.
This is what
normally, but this, he brought me a $20 bottle to drink that way.
I want to ask you about this, Danny, and I do this to anybody who's a wine aficionado, and if I wasn't terrified of Bobby Stuckey, I'd ask him the same question.
I love Bobby.
Is wine subjective as far as pricing goes? Now, I know that there's a lot of things to have to do with, well, the climate was wonderful that year, and this side of the slope had this much exposure, and we had plentiful water. Or how do you explain wine and the price variance?
That's a great question. Wine and quality as it relates to price is something that drives almost any importer.
Absolutely.
In their business model. So we say, all right, you take a wine like Pinot Grigio that there's plenty of. So and you're presented with dozens and dozens of them. So how does this wine react to the price and the quality? And so really, it sounds simple, but it's really hard to do because wine is made in almost every region in the world. And you look at Italy, and it's almost every corner there's a vineyard. And how do I find that wine that is phenomenal, that is so underpriced for what it is? Price sometimes really gets out of control when a wine becomes incredibly popular because they can't just increase production by 10 times if they're going to keep the authenticity of it. So what drives the price up? Scarcity, popularity, and that wine gets more and more and more expensive. Like if we were sitting here in
Does it start out at one price and then work its way?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like water finding its own level then, right?
Absolutely. If we were all sitting here in 1987 and we were opening a bottle of Sassicaia, George, what do you think we'd pay for that? Like $40?
$40.
Yeah. Now?
$400.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it's supply, it's demand, it's how it drinks, and then it's the story behind it as well. So I get beer, I get spirits, and spirits a little bit more complicated, how you barrel age things, and you can tell the story about the ingredients and certain nuances that are done during the aging process. And the price point seems to be fairly consistent with that until you start getting into collector's items and that kind of thing. Wine to me, and again, one of the best explanations that I've ever had as far as wine goes, but at the end of the day, it has to be really good. What makes a really good wine?
I think honesty. You know, there's a lot that you can do with a wine. Sometimes wines get to be like Dr. Pepper. You have no idea what's in it. I remember growing up as a kid saying, oh, if we had all these ingredients, we could make a Dr. Pepper ourselves, and you can't recognize any of them, right? I like wines that are honest, that don't have food coloring. Wine should never look like Barney purple.
Nope.
Barney the dinosaur purple. It should never look like it. Doesn't exist in the world. But there's a lot of wines that are that purple, right?
Sure.
That's not real.
Yeah.
That's chemistry, and that's okay. I mean, I don't knock anybody for liking a Dr. Pepper. It's good stuff, but knowing what goes into that is important. I like honest wines. I like wines that are made and they're different every single vintage because every vintage gives you something different, right? So I like wines that are true to their vintage, that are honest, that don't have a whole lot in them other than grapes.
Straightforward ingredients.
Ingredients.
Love it. Okay.
And that to me is where my passion lies.
I love it. Okay, so we can't talk wine without having wine, right? You brought some wines that obviously you're passionate about. You mind just taking us on a little educational tour right here?
Yeah, I mean, George was talking about the Daniele Conterno Barbera, which I don't have here, but he has over there. I love that. Famous family, young guy making great, honest wines. The wines that we brought here today, though, are Poggio del Moro. So Poggio del Moro is like one of my favorite new discoveries. Tatiana is the owner and the winemaker, the head of wine. She is this amazing woman that is making wine in a very male-dominated region in Italy for winemaking. And she is just slaying dragons. She's funny, she's fun, she's passionate, she's making natural wines, and she's making it in an area called Chianciano Terme.
Okay.
And that's kind of like the Sedona of Tuscany.
Perfect. Okay.
Very spiritual area, these beautiful like streams that are going through that are with sulfur water, and the mud in the bottom. Since the days of Romans, they've been sticking their feet in there, and they have this gray mud, and you cover your whole body with it, and then you feel like a different person after that. And she's making wine in that region. There's not a lot of producers in Chianciano Terme. So she makes this wine. This is really cool. This is like all the rage. This is called Pet Nat. This is Pet Nat. And this is awesome because this is like, say you had, Pet Nat likes to do that. Say you had your favorite beer in the world, your favorite champagne in the world, and your favorite white wine in the world, and they got together, and this was their love child.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is Pet Nat. It's all natural fermentation in the bottle.
And I see some of that fermentation.
And you can see it right there in the bottom here. Beautiful. Wonderful expression of supernatural wine. Now try it. And if my description was wrong, school me. Tell me it was wrong. Cheers.
These are on my spring wine menu.
Yeah.
Man.
This is the coolest thing you're going to taste this year.
These are hot right now.
They're super hot. Like, we tell people we have a great natural Pet Nat, and literally in the United States, our entire allocation for the country is 168 cases. That's nothing. Most wines are 20,000, 30,000 cases.
That's a party.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much flavor in a glass.
Right?
That's like if Sunday was fermented.
Yeah.
That's what it would taste like. Am I wrong?
I
mean, that's pretty good. It's story time with Danny Keefe, and I really, really enjoy this. Just taking a walk through wine, and really, when it comes to wine, that's what you're experiencing, and those are the people that I want to be about be around when drinking wines. Is let's talk about the story of the wine, the people behind it, the makers, the purveyors, the land, the terroir, all of the things that come to play when having a delicious wine.
Super fun.
Cheers to this. Tell us another story.
That's what we love.
I'll tell you another story. So her white wines. So she has a couple different. You see this one, Poggio del Moro, the Rosso, and
what's the
Chianti.
price point of this? Just to ask.
Here it's going to be
The Pet Knot's probably $50.
$50 a bottle. Yeah.
In retail, it's probably, what, 25?
No, it'll be about 30, 35 retail.
30, 35 retail?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so what's
Good
great
deal
is-
here.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chef?
On the wine?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of sparkling wine, basically anything with bubbles.
Yeah.
So
How am I going to feel the next day with this?
You're going to feel great. It's low alcohol and it's natural.
Got it.
So there's nothing
that.
artificial in there. So many times people say, "Oh, I love wine, but it gives me a headache."
Yeah.
And I say two things. Well, one, don't drink 4 bottles. That'll give you a headache. 2, drink a lot of water while you're doing it. Or 3, what's in your wine?
Yeah.
Maybe there's some crazy chemical
Sugars,
you're having a
sulfites.
reaction
Yeah.
to, right?
yeah, I like that it's not, it doesn't have all those excess sugars, it's naturally fermented. I love it.
Isn't that fun?
Love it.
Story time, Danny. Let's go.
Yeah,
So
Danny
she-
and I have done a lot of fun
I
stuff since
can-
COVID started.
Yeah, we have.
We've had some COVID wine days.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And open up some spectacular bottles of wine just to alleviate some of the stress of what's been going on in the world.
We've been having so much fun.
Yeah, we've had some,
I
we've had some
wasn't
great wine
invited.
days, and Danny's been like a wine mentor and a great friend through all of this. And I want to, cheers to you for
Thank
being
you.
awesome.
I can't cheers with an empty glass.
You got to
There we
cheers
go.
with the
Yeah.
evil, eh?
Yeah.
Because
Danny, you let me
Oh,
cheers with an
there's a
empty
little
glass,
bit.
though?
We got to redo that.
Oh,
that.
no,
you
there
can't
wasn't.
enjoy great food without
Without
great
great
friends
wine.
Yes.
and
Cheers.
great wine.
Absolutely.
Cheers to you, Jim.
Fully agree.
That's part of life right there.
Fully agree. And
So the other fun story is, so she has kind of 2 lines. One, her classic line, her Rosso and her Chianti. I mean, she goes through so much to make these. Like this Rosso is 4 different varietals, all of them fermented at a different temperature, which is perfect for that varietal, and then blended together at the end.
Where is this vineyard?
This is in Chianciano Terme in Tuscany, southern Tuscany.
Yeah. What camera are we? Danny wants to go to the vineyard. I can tell already.
Let's go to Tuscany. Come on. Keep getting vaccinated. Let's go to Tuscany.
That's right.
So she has 2 lines. One is she calls her flower power line, the Evole, which is a play on the word love in Italian, Evole. And this is a blend. This is awesome. Is
this what we're having right here?
This is what we're having
Okay.
here. This blend is as authentic as you could get. Like, she's not trying to just make a varietal that everyone knows about. She wants to make Evole. I was about to say she wants to make love. Maybe that's inappropriate. She wants to produce love in a bottle. It's Grichetto, it's Trebbiano, and it's Malvasia. And it's such floral happiness right here.
Now, gosh, I probably even shouldn't go down this road, but demographically, are there certain wines that you see certain demographics that like middle-aged women versus middle-aged men, or young ladies versus young men? Okay, good. I think I said that well to not say. Okay, how would you explain the taste throughout different palates and age groups and genders? That's actually pretty good.
That's a great question. Evole really is best for the demographic of happy people.
Of happy people.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
This is a wine for happy people. If you're angry, you're not going to like this wine. If you're a happy person, you're going to love this wine. Think about it. Get your nose.
Let me see if I like it. I'm so
let
angry.
me see how happy I am.
And I'll give you
I'm so
the
angry
secret.
right now.
I'll give you the secret to figuring out any wine, and you only need to worry about one thing.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Greg, what is the best wine in the world?
The best way.
The best wine in the
subjectively?
entire world. What is the best wine in the entire world?
Well, I figure that's a trick question. Ask James.
Anybody can answer this question. What's the best
The one you
wine?
like.
That's
the
it.
one you the one you love. Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
one that you like
The one that
best.
you're drinking right
That's
now.
it.
You know, like
Wine
that
is-
you love to drink.
Wine's so subjective that you don't need to get caught up in all of these different profiles. All you got to worry about,
I
do
get
you
it.
like it for you.
Right.
And
But-
that's it.
Okay, but back to the original question that I asked, demographically and gender-wise, are there certain tastes for the palate that they're drawn to? And, I mean, because you think of a rosé. I mean, that's a girl's wine, no?
Rosé is one of my
No.
favorite things.
Yeah, I love
I
rosé.
love rosé.
I love rosé.
I don't know.
Help
you
me
know,
out here, guys. Is there
There's a
anything to
lot
what
of-
I'm trying
I
to...
think
lot of
what he's
study.
trying to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what Greg's getting at is, you know, it's something that I've noticed, and tell me if I'm on the right path, is a lot of it, when people are searching out to buy a wine, actually buy a wine, a lot of it is label.
Yeah.
What does it look like, right? And of course, price point has to do with it. But yeah, and a lot of it is that that stigma or societal norms that I would say, like, oh, you know, I like a Chardonnay with a pretty label, you know. There's generally a demographic associated
Yeah.
with that.
How about like a strong, rich red?
Or a super
You
rich
know?
red, yeah.
Yeah.
I like, you know,
With a cleaver on.
I've had people that love both. I've had very burly gentlemen that love a rosé,
Uh-huh.
and I've had very petite women that want the biggest tannin gripping Sagrantino you could ever
But
find.
do you see how you drew that very contrasting parallel to those two
Yeah.
demographics?
People
so
have
there are.
different tastes.
I get it. I get it. Thought it was just an interesting
But you
question.
know what?
Don't
It
hurt
is a
me.
You
great
want
question.
a fun one, Greg?
Yeah.
At Pizza Republica,
What's your number
there's
one?
been days where we have not had one male guest in the building.
Let me know those days.
It
yeah,
happens-
yeah.
happens a lot on Thursdays.
I'll swing by.
Ladies'
and
night.
and we have a primarily female clientele, and they'll let us know what they like and they don't like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we gear some of the lighter, healthier, fresher flavors to our female guests, because that's, you know, they're the decision makers. They're the ones that are saying, "Hey, honey, let's go here, let's go there."
And you do a frosé machine in the
Yeah.
in the warmer
Do a
months,
frosé
right?
with a great Aglianico
Love
that I
that.
get from Danny.
I'll be here.
You know,
Yep.
This Alianico is from this tiny little village that I stumbled upon by accident and fell in love with this family, and I brought it back, and George was one of the first people that I talked to about it. I'm like, George, I brought these back from Italy. Let's sit here and drink it. And we had one of our little outside moments, and remember that? I opened up the red, white, and the rosé, and we're like, and George is like, oh my God, Danny.
Then we pitched on a rosé machine together.
Yeah. This
And
little
we
family in
went to-
Basilicata bought George a frosé machine,
Yeah.
and they're like, George, this is great. We love it. And this is, you know, they sent us pictures of themselves. Like, they're so excited about their rosé from this tiny little village in Basilicata is being enjoyed by
our
so many
frosé.
people. It's their
That's
frosé.
so cool.
Yeah.
I think we need to have an ongoing segment that's story time with Danny Keefe.
I
wine
told you
stories.
you love them.
I'm down.
Hey, cool. Tell us another story.
Another great story is the Giallo. I love this wine. So this is a little, Tatiana will like, if she was here. So Tatiana is really cool. Tatiana is actually Russian and moved to Tuscany and bought this place. And I'm like, oh, a little hummingbird. And she's like, no, Danny, it's an insect. And I'm like, no, it's a hummingbird. She goes, no, it's an insect. I'm like, okay, fine. It's your wine. You own it. You know it. But it is, she's right. It's an insect. It looks like a hummingbird. And it does the same thing that hummingbirds do. This is a rosé from Sangiovese. And when she told me the price, I said, oh, Tatiana, I love it. I'll buy a case for myself, but nobody will buy it. So she's like, okay, we do this. We make it so that everyone in America will buy it. And we did it. And this rosé, this is the new 2020 Gallo rosé. It is like, I'm going to have you guys try it. Sangiovese is one of the oldest varietals. There's the three main varietals of Italy. The most important are Nebbiolo, Sangiovese, and Alianico, right? Pretty
Absolutely.
much. Sangiovese actually comes from the word sangue, which is blood, and Jove, which was God, right? So blood of God, Sangiovese. Versus in Sicily, the main wine is Nero Diavolo, blood of the devil. So it kind of difference between Sicilians and mainland Italians. This is made from Sangiovese.
Are you calling me the devil?
Yeah. I was like,
You and I are both from, our ancestors are both from Sicily, so
Yes.
you know, it takes one to know one.
Exactly.
So
This is a rosé of Sangiovese. You got to try this. This is like
Blood of the gods.
drinking this is a gift you give your body.
blood of the gods.
You mentioned something that I ask a lot of folks who do wine, and they stumble on it. And maybe there's no answer to it, but I'm going to ask you. What's the difference between a variety and a varietal?
A varietal is a specific grape. So in Italy, there are 3,300 varietals. Those are fighting words, by the way. There could be a lot more. 3,300 varietals. So Sangiovese is a varietal. Sangiovese is a varietal. Aglianico is a varietal. Cabernet Sauvignon is a varietal. Pinot Noir is a varietal. A variety could be up also fighting words, up to interpretation. A variety could be red table wine.
Okay.
It could be sweet wines. It could be imports. It could be domestic, right? I mean,
my interpretation that I believed it to be was a variety was the grapes itself, and the varietal would be the part of the region that it was from. So the variety of grapes would be the varietal of the region. Who knows? I don't know. You know what the first word that came to my mouth when I tasted this? Gorgeous. I don't know why.
Gorgeous?
Gorgeous.
Tatiana's going to love
Yep.
that.
Tatiana is a beautiful
Tatiana
person.
is gorgeous.
She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. Yeah.
So when drinking wine, here are some of the other confusing things to where, and maybe wine doesn't want it to be more approachable. Some people fear wine, right? Going out to what do you order? How do you order it? Just pronouncing some wines can be very confusing. When you approach wines and hello, how are you, George? Hello. What are some just 1, 2, 3 steps that you can do to start to acquire some more wine knowledge? Like when I open it up, does it need to breathe? What wine does? What wine doesn't? Why am I swirling it? Do you hold it at the top? Is that going to make your wine warm? What temperature should you drink wines at? What are some of those kind of just beginning points to where you can dive in to make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable?
You know, those are great questions. Wine should be fun.
Okay.
And there are
Not
sometimes,
intimidating.
you know, it should not be intimidating, although it can be.
I
The
do.
thing about our industry is that there's a lot of amazing people in our industry, but when you dive into it and you start studying, sometimes the tendency is to lose yourself in the details, and we should never stop forgetting what George said: is wine should be what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, wine. Some wines are meant to be aged a long time. This Chianti and this Rosso is on George's menu. It's fresh. It's wonderful. It's 2015, and it's right now in its drinking zone. The whites are 2020. So, you know, wines need oxygen to express themselves. So they're bottled, and then they're closed off from the world. So there are wines. We've opened some together during our COVID time.
What does oxygenating do to a wine?
It wakes it up.
Oxidizing?
Think about it this way.
And when you say open up, what does that mean? Open up the flavor, the bouquet?
All of the above.
Okay.
So if I locked you in a bottle for 20 years,
Ooh, that stink.
you'd need a few minutes to air out.
Yes, I would.
Let a little air get to it.
Too much, Greg. I get
little
it.
too much, Greg. We're gonna let Greg mellow a little bit
Yeah.
in that glass. We're gonna let some of Greg out of that
Yeah.
glass. We're gonna let him soften a little bit
I love it.
and show his age
Perfect.
by getting a little air to it.
See, that's what wine needs, truly. That is so approachable the way that you said that.
Yeah, and
Very understandable.
And if you want to learn more about wine, there's drinking wine for fun,
Yeah.
which is just drinking wine.
Yeah.
And if you want to expand your knowledge
Yeah.
a little bit, keep the fun
Yeah.
and drink with a little bit of purpose. Can I taste this,
Yes,
or this?
yes.
When I taste this rosé next to this rosé, that's the best way, because then you get to compare.
That's
for
fun.
sure. I like this and I
Yeah.
don't like this.
Can I keep this out on my counter overnight? Opened?
Open, no.
What will happen to it?
So, you know, wine goes kind of like this. So, like when you open it, this is a wine that is 6 years old. All right. So as soon as you open it, it's good. But if you give it a minute, it's better. And then it kind of is like it gets to a point where then it's going to go down. So it's already exposed to oxygen when you open it. But if you leave it open overnight, and it's interesting, there are some wines that you can leave open overnight that are really amazing the next day. But there's others, maybe not so much. So generally what I will do, if I've opened a bottle of wine and I haven't consumed the whole bottle, I've maybe had a glass or two, I'll put a cork on it and I'll just keep it anywhere that is cool and dark. Not exposed to daylight, not exposed to heat, not next to a heater, and it's going to be fine for 2 or 3 days. If I want it to be there for a week, then I'll put it in the refrigerator, and that'll slow down the evolution. But wine has an evolution; it goes up like this and down like this. Now, it's what's interesting is, generally speaking, I think George and I have talked about this a lot, is that almost any wine, including sparkling wine, champagne, anything, benefits from being in a decanter. More exposure to oxygen. The older a wine gets, it can be, there's no absolutes in wine, but it can be to its detriment. So if a wine, we've opened some during our COVID days that are wines from the 70s and 80s. You open that, and it's got about a 15, if it's good, still good, it's maybe got a 15 to 45 minute life, and then it starts dying.
Wow.
It's really incredible.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about wine, is like, one is there are no absolute rules, and two is it's fun, and three it's discovery, and four just go with it.
I think that is the coolest thing. I love, my wife and I love drinking wine, at home, and it doesn't really matter what it is. We've discovered we like any kind of wine, right? As long as we're having fun and enjoying it together. And that's the most fun to me. I'm a very curiosity-driven person, and I just love, doing taste tests side by side, or saying, oh man, this wine was really good, just slightly chilled, where this one was, better, room temperature. And it's always different.
It's always, exploration
it's always
process.
different.
Absolutely.
I think it's so cool that you can have all of that exploratory, stuff around it.
I got one more question for you, but I don't want to hog you because honestly, you're just a wealth of knowledge that I really enjoy tapping into.
I've learned from this guy.
Chef, you have an awesome, amazing palate, and you really develop a lot of menus and work with a lot of food. The crossover between tasting and palates and wine and food, that's what must fascinate you, right? And pairing wines with foods?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think I speak for both George and I. It's within the same realm. Wine is food, right?
Wine is food.
Wine is food.
Amen. Wine is food.
And I think a lot of us say that, and it's the same as I would say, liquor or beer is food as well. Sure. It's all this, but wine is so complex in the way that it's made. And I was fortunate enough to work at a winery a long time ago, making wine, and very little expertise or knowledge there, but it's just so interesting, the different aspects that go into it, and every small little detail in winemaking seems to make just the biggest difference in the flavor, and it goes all over the place.
We have a walking encyclopedia here with us as far as wine goes. What would be the one question that you would want to ask him? We all got one left in us. Get yours ready.
Oh my goodness!
I got a fun challenge for everybody.
Let's go him first.
I got a good one too. Okay, sorry. What do you got?
So the super fun wine challenge, and you'll dig this with your wife.
I love it.
Find a bottle of wine that you love. Buy 6 bottles or a case of that wine. Open 1 bottle a year for the next 6 years or 12 years.
I love that.
And tell me what changed. Okay? You're going to learn so much about how wine goes up, wine goes down. It changes. That it grows up, it grows old in a bottle. And I've done this many times with many different wines where I bought a case and I only open 1 bottle a year. And it's amazing how different that exact bottle of wine changes over its lifetime.
I gotta say, Greg, as somebody who drinks a lot of wine, that's going to be really hard to do. I'm going to want to open.
You're going to want to open.
I don't know if I'm going to last a year.
You're going to discipline.
It takes
James,
discipline.
basically write yourself a letter, self-addressed stamp,
right?
Put it in the mail, and then get it a year later.
A future self,
Put a little wine chastity belt on top of it that you can't open.
Right. I'll give the key to you. And
George, you know Danny Keefe really well. Tee him up. Get the best out of him. Give him a question.
I don't know.
Danny's got the best stories. Like, I met Danny years and years ago when we were doing nightclubs and lighting and that kind of the world that we grew up in here in Denver. And when he first started getting into wine, his next door neighbor in Cortona is Frances Maves, who wrote Under the Tuscan Sun. And he brought Frances Maves in and we did her wine launch in the United States. And I was like, oh, have you met Diane? Oh, yes, I met Diane Lane. I know Francis. I know this. And he's like the mayor of Cortona. And I started hearing all these stories about Danny going through Cortona. And everybody's like, hey, Danny, oh, Danny, oh, hey, Danny. He's like the mayor of Cortona in Italy. And he's got a great house there. And we've been making plans for the better part of a decade to meet over there. We were actually going to go, plans last year to go before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. So now we have to wait until the world opens back up again, and we're going to get over to Italy and share some time together and meet some friends and meet his friends over there. And we have half a dozen people that we've been promising we were going to come and visit.
Oh, for sure.
And we just haven't gotten the time.
The lore of Danny. Do they call you Danger Danny or Dangerous Danny? Or,
no.
Huh?
Danger.
No.
Do good Danny? Come on. There's got to be something in there.
It's funny. George says that. Some people say that. I brought some friends of mine there years ago, and they're like, oh, everyone in Cortona knows Danny. And so for some of my friends, went to this tobacco shop, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're friends with Danny. And he's like, who's Danny? Who's Danny? And he's like, and the guy's like, oh, that's Kiara's dad, my daughter. Like, my daughter is truly the mayor of Cortona. She knows everybody there. Oh, it's Danny's dad, or it's Kiara's dad. But I don't know. The thing about wine and friendship and things like that is like, this is the honest truth. I love people. I love people. I love wine, and that's a good start to almost every single day. Like George talks about this kind of lightly, but I mean, George has been my friend through the worst of times and the best of times, and he's the guy that I want to celebrate with, and he's the guy I want to cry on his shoulder with. But like during COVID, like there's time, I mean, George's restaurant is shut down, and I'm just like, how do I support my friend? And he's like, bring a bottle of wine over and make a pizza. And so we sit outside there, and we, I go deep in my cellar, and we sit there and we just talk about life.
Those are some of the best days where we got together and tried to just have a normal day with, like there wasn't COVID.
Yeah, and the wine kind of
more precious
made you feel normal again for a half a month. Yeah.
And totally. Have a great bottle of wine.
That's amazing. I guess a question, and I thought we were going there for a second, is, Danny, do you have, and George, do you have a way that you quickly, easily describe to people how to best pair wine with food?
Great question.
Yeah, how to best pair wine with food.
Yeah.
We keep talking about all these, how to, make it easy on people. I have my answers, and I think we're going to be very similar.
Do you complement wine with the food, or do you do the antithesis of the flavor of that wine with the food? Yeah. How do you approach food and pairing?
I think you can absolutely do both, but when in doubt, one of the things I've learned that's foolproof over the years is if you pair the wine with the food of that region, years and years of history, they somehow got it right. Because when they've been making wine in a region for 400 or 500 years, and the food from that region has been pretty the same for 400 or 500 years, they match up pretty well.
Here, I got to put my hand.
What about popcorn?
Yeah.
What do you pair with popcorn?
It depends on popcorn.
I was going to say I would pair this.
So George,
sparkling.
Right here,
what I heard
with truffle salt or without truffle salt.
Exactly.
Some of the indigenous ingredients translates into food, and that terroir transcends from wines to food to anything that's being grown in the ground. And you're saying if it's from the indigenous from that region, they're probably going to pair well together.
San Marzano tomatoes, Vesuvius soil.
Okay.
Aglianico, Vesuvius soil. Neapolitan pizza and Aglianico. You can't go wrong.
Orfiano.
Yeah, Orfiano.
This is the lane I like to
Greco
be in
Cattico.
right here. Tell me about this wine, then I'll give you my last question for you.
This is the Rosso Toscana. It's here at Pizza Republica by the glass. It's Merlot, Cab, Sangiovese, Syrah. So one Italian indigenous grape, and then three varietals from France. She takes the Merlot and the Syrah, which are very fruity varietals. She ferments them at the coldest possible temperature, which is 20 degrees Celsius. And that is going to preserve that beautiful fruit.
Mm-hmm.
She does a cold soak before that to preserve the integrity of it.
Flavor lock.
Flavor lock. When she's bringing it in from the vineyard, she's protecting from oxygen, which instantly changes the grapes.
Full CO2 wash.
Full CO2 wash.
Wow.
Middle of the night, only on a full moon. Crazy, right? And then, or as close to a full moon as possible because of the, because of the timing.
Yeah.
And then brings it in, and then the Sangiovese and the Cab, which are more tannic varietals, she's doing it at a high temperature, about 27 degrees Celsius. And then everything goes into the big neutral because she feels that oak should be a tool and not a weapon. I think over-oaked wines cover a multitude of sins in quality of fruit.
Concur.
So neutral oak, the big ones that they use like in Vino Nobile or in Piedmont, the big tonneau, and she puts them in there, and then after a year, then they blend. They have a blending party where they taste everything, they blend the wines. Then she sticks it in the bottle for another 2 years. All of that for a wine that is $40 on the menu.
Wow.
You know?
That's so
Thank you for
impressive.
sharing.
It's incredible.
Segueing into my last question for you. Again, those of you who watch the Modern Eater Show, this is the best wine segment that we've ever had on here. I want other people to be able to reach out to you. We've got a lot of operators and general managers and restaurant owners, bar owners, to be able to reach out to Danny Keefe from the Grape Juice Group. How can people reach out to you?
Danny at grapejuicegroup.com. You can go to my website, and always happy to talk, always happy to have you come to our office in Cherry Creek. I always have a bottle of wine ready to be opened.
Where in Cherry Creek? I live in Cherry Creek.
100 South Madison.
I live on First and Adams.
Come by, man.
My God.
Good, dude. You can walk to my office.
You mean stumble?
I always have wine there.
You'll stumble back, not
Stumble home.
You'll stumble
I'll
home.
walk there, stumble home. Maybe even
It's
Uber. Who knows?
really easy
I'll get
to
real
talk into
bougie.
opening a bottle of wine. Really easy.
Oh, my God. I got a new friend here. Last one for you. Consumers are very price-driven. When people are going and they're shopping, and probably some folks will go just like you and I up to the King Supers on Leedsdale and see their wine collection, which isn't half bad. Where do you begin? And then, so two-part question. Where do you begin to so you can be fiscally responsible and you want to start and kind of dive into maybe a little elevated wine than you're used to? No more box wine. How do you do that, first of all? And then I've got one last one for you.
You know, I like to find a wine shop. I love the King Supers on Leedsdale. There's a lot of wine shops around the country and around the world that I love. My favorite wine shop on earth is in my town of Cortona.
Okay.
It's called Molosini's. It's in Piazza Republica, and you go in there. Marco Molosini is standing there.
Walk you through it.
Yeah, you walk in, and the place is tiny. It's like the size of this little area. And Marco is like, hey, what do you like?
Yep.
So good.
And then you just start
Go from
talking,
there.
and you go from there.
Do we have any of that here?
We have, Where? There's a place in Cherry Creek North called the Vineyard.
Yeah.
And I love it. Nathan and his team there are awesome. Cliff is the owner there. He's a beautiful human being. And you go there and you say, hey, man, I got a $20 bill. And that's what I want to spend.
Oh, how cool.
And
He'll take you
here's
there.
what I love.
Will you do that with me? Will you go down there?
I
We'll
will
do a
go there
segment?
with you.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I will go there with you. And you know what? Nathan is one of my buddies. Like on Mondays, a lot of the industry guys, not a lot, a few of our industry guys, I take off Mondays. We go on a bike ride. And then sometimes they come to my house. I cook for them. We drink wine. Nathan's one of the guys. I guarantee that he would let us do that.
We're coming for you, Nathan. That's it. This table, we're jumping you down there at Cherry Creek. I'm a Cherry Creek native. 48 years, I've seen that whole place grow.
That's changed a hot minute, huh?
It has changed a hot minute. Last one for you. Other than Italian wines, what would a wine from a different region be that you would pick today?
Oh, man. So many that
I've been
I
getting
love.
down on some Argentinian wines.
I love Argentinian wines. It's great. You know, a lot of Argentina was a lot of Mendoza people are Italian immigrants. And I like those wines, but if it's not Italy, what really calls me, I love Spain. I love Spanish wines, especially from like Aragon, like old vine Grenache. I also love French wines. What's not to love about France? Like beautiful people, beautiful food, beautiful wines. Burgundy, when you go there, it's like walking on hallowed ground. It's like you feel every one of your footsteps, and you wind up spending every dime you have on a great bottle of wine. But the great thing is, like beverage, you can travel the world. Like I went with my wife once to Normandy, and we went to a little shop that did Calvados, and I spent there. It's a brandy made from apples. I spent like 2 hours there, like getting freaky with Calvados. So the world is amazing, and that's what's great about a great wine shop is you can go there and you can travel the world in a wine shop and just learn. Right?
I'm going to travel the world through wine with Danny. I got to cheers you right now.
Cheers, my brother.
I know you got a hard stop, places to be. Thank you so much, George. What a wonderful segment.
Cheers.
Please set up our next guest.
to you
They're going to be on the show.
Oh, no, non è possibile. Non è possibile per me così. You got to have wine in your glass.
Some of the coolest mushrooms, and really a cool story behind what they're doing. Sustainable agriculture out of a shipping container.
We're going to learn about that next as we continue. It's Pizza Republica in the Landmark, and I'll tell you what, I just love this business. It is such a staple to Colorado. Also, we have Pizza Republica downtown. There's some great things that'll be going on there. All-Star Baseball weekend. It's more than a weekend. It's a week, right?
It's a full week.
I know.
The Major League Baseball experience at the convention center.
We'll give you an update on what'll come for that. But all's well in the world, and it's the reason for the season. Go out there and support your local restaurants and come to a place like this because you're going to get that full experience between food and beverage program. It all comes together for a wonderful experience. Thank you, George Eder. We'll be right back in a flash. The Modern Eater Show continues. Thanks, Danny.
Cheers. Thank you, guys.
Hey, you guys, Jay here with the Modern Eater Show. Thanks for watching. Don't forget about our YouTube and Instagram channels. A lot of killer content over there. Throw us a subscribe on YouTube. Throw us a follow on Instagram. And thank you for supporting TME. We couldn't do this without our amazing sponsors, so let's check them out right now.
Very proud to be part of the Modern Eater, and chefs, restaurant owners, any food service operators. I know right now that delivery and carry out is bigger than ever, and we got you covered. Cambro has a full line of delivery and carry out items. More economical options are expanded polypropylene or EPP, nice insulated container. The ProCard Ultra is really versatile. It's a great unit because you can actually store cold products down here, hot products up here. It's all 120, there's no refrigeration worries. It's all thermodynamics. Just let us know what your food service challenges are, what it is we can do to help you out, and there isn't anything that we can't do for you. So hope to see you over here at our facility in Park Hill soon, and stay safe out there.
Everybody, with several $1 million of hard assets here, insurance is very, very important to us. Ewing Levitt covers it all. Machinery, building, workman's comp. Ewing Levitt's got us covered from the floor to the ceiling, from our alley even to the street. This divider, this press, my cooling conveyor, my oven. Ow, ow. Ewing Levitt covers our counter stacker and our employees too. If you need insurance, take it from Little Rich at Rockalitas. Call Ewing Levitt, they'll get you covered.
Hey, this is Keegan from D-Bar in Denver. You guys might find it difficult to stay in touch and stay up to date with the ever-changing culinary scene in Colorado. It's almost impossible. Just tune in to the Modern Eater. These guys have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening in all of the food and beverage in all of Colorado. They're behind us. They understand the idea of shopping local and shopping small. So support them, you support us.
Right, you guys, back to the show in just a second. I'm here in Colorado Springs with Chef Noah Siebenthaler, and we're here to tell you about bread, and specifically Aspen Baking. Aspen Baking Company has been baking the best bread in Colorado since 1994. Chef, I know you use Aspen Baking Company here. What do you use here? Why do you like it?
So I use their sourdough, their French Parisian, their burger rolls, marble rye, and slider rolls. I was introduced about 3.5 years ago, and I haven't found a better bread in Colorado since. So we use it exclusively for everything.
I'm telling you what, you guys, don't take my word for it. Take Chef Noah's. They're making quality product. They don't put in the fake colors. They don't put in the chemicals. They don't freeze it. They don't do that stuff. They just bake fresh bread. AspenBaking.com is where you go to get that bread. And now, back to the show.
Back to Pizza Republica and Landmark, and this is a great day as we've got to more community, more food tasting, and then local businesses doing business with other local businesses. George Eder here with myself, Greg Hollenbach, and it's a wonderful day just meeting all these folks. I really enjoyed Danny Keefe in the last segment. That was fantastic.
He's a wealth of knowledge and a very good friend.
Now it's time to move on to new friends right here, and I'm really interested in that. As we tour the state of Colorado early and often, we see all kinds of different farmers, and we go from hydroponic to aquaponic to unabasheded soil farmers that unapologetic about how they farm, and really the new model of sustainability is doing some hydroponic farming. Here's a really cool, unique idea. It's called FarmBox Foods and Gourmet Mushroom Farm. We got to introduce these folks right now. Jake, good to see you on the Modern Eater Show.
Always good to see you.
I know, awesome. We also have a new friend with us. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Introduce yourself if you would.
So I'm Alex Albu. I'm the Mycology Division Director at FarmBox Foods. That's really just a fancy name for kind of the mushrooms in my world. We build farms and shipping containers, and I came up with the design for the mushroom farm. And
did you really?
Yeah.
Thoroughly impressed.
Cool.
Jake, do the same.
Well, I used to be with Shamrock Foods, and my passion's always been restaurants, cooking, ever since I was a child. So coming from Shamrock, now transitioning to FarmBox Foods, I feel like I've got some insight into restaurants and some of their challenges, some of their struggles, and I feel, like our product could really help them out in a number of ways.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's dig in. George Eder, you do business with these folks, and really at the end of the day, quality has to trump everything.
Best mushrooms I've seen in a long time.
Huge endorsement.
And I got to go down there, and Alex and I got to tour around and see how everything's made, which, boom, blew my mind.
Yeah.
Totally crazy. And I'm like, hold on a second. You can actually grow mushrooms in a shipping container with all this humidity, and they come out like these magical, beautiful things. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's what we do.
They must love the environment.
It's super cool.
Okay, talk about the environment and the product. Either one of you, tee it up.
Sure. With our farms, they have everything that you need to grow the mushrooms from start to finish. So there's certain substrates that you need to prepare for the mushrooms to start growing on. Then you need a lab to inoculate everything, and then you need a space for everything to kind of just sit and grow. And then finally you need a space where everything will produce the mushrooms. So each room is kind of different. But the last
Describe
one,
a container, typical container.
40-foot insulated shipping container. We get them, until now we've used used ones, so they can be, they can be kind of dented, they can be wrecked, but it's nice to give them new life, really to start producing food for people. We retrofit them extensively. So that's for the hydroponic farms as well. We get the container, it's bare, and then we do our thing, and by the time they're done, they're this completely different facility.
I love that. So self-contained, and you're building an ecosystem of sorts within that container. Talk about that if you would.
Sure. It's so for both, for the hydroponic farm and the mushroom farm, they're very different environments. But we put what we need in the farms to keep conditions where they need to be. So for temperature, for lighting, for air exchange, carbon dioxide levels, for plants you want it to be higher, for mushrooms you want it to be lower. So part of the farms is a very much a high-tech farm, so you can control everything you need.
How much of the outside do you want on the inside, and the inside to just stay on the inside? Do you want any of the outside world on the inside of that container?
You want the fresh air, but you don't necessarily want the temperature and everything that comes with it.
Do you want a ladybug in there?
For your plants, it can be helpful. Yeah, for sure.
Helpful, yeah. And I always say as we tour and we see these different types of facilities that some of our friends that we check out these facilities is you can truly grow organic in an environment like this.
Yeah. It all comes with hydroponics, especially. It comes down to what you're putting into the system. So you need to add nutrients. So from there's organic options. There's it's up to the end user. Same with the mushrooms. It's even easier with mushrooms. We don't spray them with anything. They just get misted with water. So it just comes down to what the inputs are.
Why should people be less afraid of technology when it comes to growing? And where is that trepidation for folks when you get out of the, let's say, conventional farming?
It could be complicated. It could seem daunting. And I think there's, we may have kind of a hesitation to, farming has a certain, connotation that it
has a lore to it. It really does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, we're not trying to replace traditional farming. That's never been, it's all, there's more and more people and everybody needs to eat. So, we see this as a supplement, not as a replacement.
But think of the beauty. If everybody had a container, it's like John Lennon would write a song about this, connecting restaurants to a container like this, Jake. I think it's a really special thing. Yep. And that's something that you have the ability to do right now with these very well-outfitted, contained environments to where a chef or an owner of a restaurant can really control the type of ingredients that they bring into their establishment.
100%. Yeah. I think it's a really good fit for some of the restaurant groups personally. Mm-hmm. These things crank out, a ton of product. I mean, the mushroom containers, themselves will do 300 to 400 pounds a week.
Wow.
It's a lot of mushrooms.
Yeah. And think about it, because chefs and restaurant owners, you want consistency and you want availability and you want to have it when you want it and how you want it, right?
Exactly. And one of the things I loved most about these is we get in mushrooms from a field or an indoor farm where it's a dirt substrate.
Sure.
And a lot of cleaning, a lot of granular dirt in the bottom of the box. These come in, I have no problem just taking them and eating them right off that. The substrate that they're using, the inside of the container is spotless. When I get the product, it's spotless. It takes so much less time to fabricate these mushrooms because I can eat 100% of all of it.
Sure. Yeah. And those mushrooms you can drop and pop, man. Just right away, right off of there.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's talk about capabilities. As far as those containers.
You can't do this with a field-based mushroom. Grab them and eat them.
Wonderful.
And the flavor on these is spectacular.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Two-part. Well, first of all, let's describe what we have here, and then I want to tee you up for the capabilities of these containers. Go ahead. Jay, do you have a roamer for these? Yeah, Jay's going to throw roamers on these. Go ahead, Alex.
Should I point or should I just...
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a lion's mane mushroom.
Gorgeous.
You see the cool spines. So yeah, this one's a totally different looking mushroom, but I promise you, it is a mushroom.
What would you use that for in culinary?
So if you do them right, lion's mane can be a good seafood substitute. So something like crab cakes, something where you really want to really emphasize that seafood texture. And then next we have shiitake, classic. They can get nice and big. That one's kind of a client thing. We can harvest them smaller, we can harvest them big. I like them big personally. I like to get the texture from them.
Side note, they're very pristine as you see these right here. That's eliminating a lot of the number twos that really don't even get to market with a lot of traditional farming as well.
Yeah, I mean, with the mushrooms,
waste, I would imagine.
Right.
Just because aesthetically, these are very pristine.
Yeah, and I mean, and this isn't, I didn't go to really great lengths to, that
was it. Right in front of you and you grabbed it.
Just grabbed them, put them in a box.
That's right.
That's how they look. Those are blue oysters. They're gray, obviously gray, but we call them blue oysters. These are your staple gourmet mushroom. This is, what any farm's going to be putting out. Mostly they're going to be doing oysters. And they're versatile. They're kind of your classic mushroom. Mm-hmm. There are different versions of this too. We have a snow white version as well too.
All right, this bad boy, I want to saute that in a second.
Those are chestnut mushrooms.
Delicious.
Yeah, these are kind of the most different one of the bunch, I suppose. They've got that. They have a huge cluster. These are really kind of prolific growers too, so they yield really, really nice. These have definitely a lot more texture, so they'll add a little bit of kind of a little bit of liquid to your mix or whatever you're cooking in. I like to do them for pasta.
Why are you shaking so bad, Jay? Oh, you are? I'm
here you go, man.
Get a little drink.
He was saying pastas. I've had a lot of luck with stir fries, and the smell is unbelievable.
Great.
Yeah, they're
It's
fantastic.
so crazy. I was just thinking, coming from a steak guy, a mushroom topper on a steak, you grab a big hunkin' bunch of those and you broil them just super hot and fast, really quick in the broiler, and throw some roasted leek butter on top of that, all over the front door. All over.
We'll wait here. We'll wait here.
Yeah. I'll get right on it. No. They look really cool. I'm super interested.
We don't have it represented there, I don't think, but king oysters, I think it's a personal preference, but king oysters for as long as they last. I mean, I can keep them in the fridge.
I can get you the king oysters.
Yeah.
Now, Jake,
that's what we have.
I just heard some good words there. Now, here's executive.
Can I have that
chef,
big box of king oysters?
Not executive chef, but culinary director for a large restaurant group in Vibe Concepts. He just said, "I'm super interested." When you hear that, those should be just ringing through your
elation.
Mind. You have a lot of testimonials. First of all, talk about some of the partnerships that are existing, and then where you'd like to get into as far as cultivating relationships.
So the one I'm real excited about right now, I don't want to talk about too much, but it's a restaurant group.
Secret.
Well, it's a restaurant group in Denver, and they're pretty heavy duty on the vegan and vegetarian options. And I just think that the mushrooms and
watercourse,
not watercourse, but close, but close. Yes.
When's the last time?
Look at
yes. Look at this.
Look at how big these are.
Woo!
That's a steak right there.
It is.
There you go.
Yeah, you can take these and slice them about a quarter-inch thick, saute them, and
these
they are
truly,
perfect.
when chefs get horny when they see these.
They're not the only ones.
That's what it looks like.
I mean, look at those bad boys. Those are fantastic.
Alex, I haven't seen
size matters.
Yeah, it's bigger, better, Alex.
Yeah.
And does this just show a conducive environment for growth? I mean, it really does.
Pretty
That's
much.
the testimony.
These all grow in the same room. So it's all about keeping the conditions, kind of finding that sweet spot to where they'll all like it, because they're different species ultimately, but they do all like the same spot. But yeah, kings, you get your bang for your buck.
Yeah. All right, let's talk business. Go ahead.
Greg, I had a big question that you kind of asked really quick, but we didn't get a very good answer. And something that chefs are thinking about all the time is
spectacular.
Is size? How does size affect flavor in different vegetables, in different things? Specifically talking from a mushroom standpoint, are these? How does these growing bigger? You talked about shiitake, small, big. These, small or big. How does that affect the texture and the flavor?
With mushrooms, it's not. If you let them kind of blow out to where they get too big. That's to the point where it's more kind of on the production side. So at that point, they've dropped all their spores, and that becomes more of a problem in the farm. But really, beyond that, it's not. You're gonna have to let them go very much overboard to where you'll see significant issues, like with taste.
Is there like styrofoamy kind of texture, like when they get too big, or are they all pretty close to the same? Yeah.
They'll hold pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if you really let it go overboard.
Right.
So,
but you guys aren't, of course.
I mean, they get big, but to the point where
we see that the yield is quality product, and that's what you have. And again, this is FarmBox Foods. Look into it, but I love the business angle of everything, and I just want you to, Jake, take me down that path to where I'm a potential customer, and you want to fact find what my needs are, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions as you go along, if you wouldn't mind, indulge me.
No, that's perfectly fine. I mean, really the sky's the limit with our product. It could be education systems, jails, grocery stores, college campuses, high school, any of that would work. But my kind of niche and my passion is food and restaurants, and that's kind of, who I like to sit down and talk to. And, restaurant groups seem to be a really good fit because they can utilize all the product. I know the challenges, of getting produce from Arizona or, California out to Colorado. And I know, how much of it goes bad, how much of it gets damaged, price fluctuations, all these things that can happen when you're dealing with Mother Nature. And this addresses all those issues.
Can I buy from an existing container without buying one myself?
Well, it's Say that one more time.
Can I buy from an existing container without having to own one myself? Are there containers that have produce in them right now that you have as available?
So the mushrooms, yes. We could also work something out with the leafy greens as well. So in Sedalia, we have a mushroom farm and a leafy green farm as well.
Okay, can I container share?
Yeah, I mean, if you buy one of these things, you can do pretty much whatever you want with them.
I might have a couple other restaurant buddies with other restaurants that want to jump in on
That's
that.
my angle.
I'm just
Yep.
I'm looking from a business
Mhm.
standpoint.
Yep.
So George has 2 locations. He might not be a full container,
James
but he
and
might
I
get
may
in with
split
James.
one.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, you think about how much these things sell for. $6 to $10 a pound, depending on the variety, and 300 to 400 pounds a week. It's a pretty penny right there.
You're not going to be able to do mushrooms with other types of greens and leafy greens and that kind of
Correct.
thing. So
They're totally different.
would that be a 2-container purchase at that point in time?
Yep. And it's really nice because the vertical farms, so the ones that are not the mushroom farms, you can do mixed crops in there. Let's say your needs are different depending on the season, the menu, whatever the case may be. You can mix crops in these containers, so you can grow. I think it'd be smart to grow, herbs, microgreens. All these things are really expensive. All these things that get damaged really quickly, and you'll have them right outside your, front or back door. And I think it'd be very convenient.
When I buy a product, support is very important to me after the fact. If I was to purchase a container like this, and I'm just a novice farmer, but I'm a chef and I know what I like, is there any support internally with your infrastructure that's able to walk people through the phases that they would with a container like this?
Yeah, so right off when the farm is delivered, we help. So we have a couple of services.
When
One
the
is
farm is delivered.
Yeah.
That's a good day, isn't it? When the farm's delivered.
Good day for everybody.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we make sure it's installed, and we work with people beforehand, with architects and everything, to make sure the site is good to go. And then we offer training on site too. We also have people that can come down to our farms and train with us beforehand. And then there's a certain amount of time where there's support that's included. It's part of the cost, and then after that, we do offer ongoing support on kind of different levels.
These things are freaking palatial. I mean, they're just well appointed. They're palatial. They're something that you might want in your life. And as people want to control their own food supply, and I don't think it's a terrible idea. I don't know what this would do to local farming as of yet. I think it's a wonderful idea. I want to learn more about it. But for folks to learn more about this product, Jake, how would you suggest that they go about doing that?
I would tell them to check out FarmBoxFoods.com.
Say a tour, Jake.
Yeah, and if they're interested, we do tours every Friday, 10 a.m. But
that's how I found you.
Yeah.
Did you do a tour, George?
I did.
But
Yeah, Alex and I would.
If 10 a.m. doesn't work for you, just let me know and we'll make something work.
I have a feeling they'll show it around to you 10 a.m., 10 p.m., Monday, Friday, Saturday, whenever. They'll accommodate you for sure. It's a really cool idea. What else would you like folks to know? I always give an opportunity for end of a segment to give that elevator speech. 30 to 60 seconds of why you should do business with us and take a look at your product.
Pressure's on,
what
man.
What would you like to do?
I say in this day and age when sustainability, organic, local, all these words that everybody's consistency and very affordable price. This addresses every single one of those. I just met with a restaurant group that said they tried growing some of their own and they had to give up for a laundry list of problems, and every single one of those problems will be fixed by our product. So I say go for it.
I look at it like solar. It's going to pay for itself.
It will.
At some point.
It absolutely will.
All right, this has been a great conversation. Anything else you'd like to add to this, Alex?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, my
goodness.
pleasure. It's great. We're going to actually go down and take you up on that opportunity
Please
for
do.
a tour. I think people just need to be educated as a consumer. You can decide for yourself.
Yeah, it's exciting.
What way that you want to go. But the future is bright, and nothing but shades, man. Put them on. You guys are going to do great.
Agree with it. Thank
you.
you.
With us on the show. Okay, George Eder.
And thank you. Now, thank you guys, because they're phenomenal mushrooms, and they go great. We brought them in, and we did a mushroom risotto last year. Now we're bringing them back on our mushroom pizza. This great Tuscan wild mushroom salad featuring these king oysters. They literally eat like a steak.
Yeah,
they're so spectacular. Yeah. So, kudos, guys. When I find a great product, I want to show it off, and it's local, and it's spectacular. So. Love mushrooms.
Yeah, as a balcony jalapeno farmer, I'm going to see if I can get one of these containers on my balcony.
Yeah.
Might not work.
Figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll do a special design for you.
Thank you. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right back. I'll tell you what, there's a topic that we've been kicking around a little bit. Where are the restaurant employees? Where are all the workers right now? It's time to get back to work, and I don't know, did they all jump ship? Did they go to a different industry? Where are these folks? And I think the conversation's real. George, you spent the lion's share of the morning this morning working on your next layer of PPP, right? There are certain things that come with PPP that you have to meet to be able to qualify for those, and a lot of it has to do with employees getting back to work. I think it's a great conversation. I'd love to have it with you and James Doxson. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. The Modern Eater Show right here from Pizza Republica in Landmark. All's well in the world because spring is the reason. We're doing it right now. We'll be back in a flash on the Modern Eater Show.
Hey. What's going on, everybody? This is Brother Luck from Lucky Dumpling, 4x Brother Luck in Colorado Springs, and I am rocking with the Modern Eater. You're watching them, you're tasting them, you're knowing everything there is to know about Colorado.
Hi, Charlie from Brews Beers here. Our new Belgian Abbey 4-pack is a mixed package of the 4 core beers made in Abbey and Trappist breweries in Belgium. So we have a single, a double, a triple, and a quadruple in one package. Now, quadruples are the emperors of Belgian monastery ales. They're dark in color, with a dense tan head and alcohol ranging from 8 to 12%, so they're pretty strong. Quadruples are very rich and complex with big maltiness, spice, and flavors of raisins, cherries, and plums. Alcohol is apparent in the mouthfeel, but not overwhelming, even at 10.5% ABV. So the finish is long, complex, and dry, and they're great beers anytime, by themselves or with hearty foods. Pick up your Abbey 4-pack at either Brews location, 67th and Pecos, or at Colfax in York, and at fine liquor stores throughout the Denver metro area. Take home some Belgian-style badassery today.
Hi. This is for the outtake version.
What's up, Denver?
I am Chef Natasha Hess, and this is Chef Carrie Baird, and we are at the Ginger Pig.
Check us out, gingerpig.com. You can also see us on the moderneater.com. Thanks, everybody. It's cornstarch.
I know. It's cool.
Making education cool again, Jay. You know how? Culinary Quick Start program. We are in love. They're using Studio Kitchen Colorado Monday through Thursday. If you have any desire to get into culinary or you're just sharpening your skills, I'm telling you, these guys, Chef Blake, Chef Marcus, they're instructing a course, and I've been there the past couple of nights, and this course is cool. It's informative, it's innovative, and it has the Modern Eater touch on it. You can tune into this as well, but you have to sign up for the course. If you go to themoderneater.com, you'll see it on the top navigation bar. It's a drop-down. Emily Griffith Culinary Quick Start. All of the stuff that we're doing and sign-up information is right there for you. It's a gimme. It's free to you. It's like the cooking classes you pay for. Don't pay for them anymore. You just sign up, and what is the best part of this thing? We got jobs for you. The troops are rallying, the community's getting together, and there's a baseline. So restaurants, if you want to get involved, you're a restaurateur, you can get involved because we need you and you to support this program with your skills. So what does that entail? This entails getting together and having a job seminar for these students. It's going to be a baseline. You need a baseline of knowledge for your students when they come in. You know they're going to be able to handle a line in a kitchen. So get involved. If you have any interest in signing up and being a student for this class, you can't get in on this 3 weeks, but the following 3 weeks you can get in on. Again, sign up, themoderneater.com. You'll see Emily Griffith Culinary Quick Start. But we want you to join the revolution of making education cool again. Okay, back to Elevation Food Service Reps.
Hi, I'm Amber with Strohauer Farms, and I'm just here to remind you that the best potatoes are grown here in Colorado. Goodness elevated. Thanks for watching the Modern Eater Show.
Hey, Zach Kreider here, Colorado Mills Sunflower Products out of Lamar, Colorado. Your only local source, grown from a local crop to produce a local oil for local chefs. You can find it at Shamrock Foods, What Chefs Want, Seattle Fish Company. Let me try it one more time, then we'll see. Hey, restaurants, we're glad you're reopening. From Colorado Mills Sunflower Oil, we'll see you soon.
First, we partner with the best farmers in the world, and then we tell them, we will take it all. Process whole spices daily, blend custom spices to order, keep it fresh, safe, and flavorful, all so that you can get back to doing what you do best. So whether you're a restaurant, a food manufacturer, or an at-home cook, be sure to visit The Spice Guy at www.thespiceguyco.com.
Hey Modern Eater fans, I'm Don Trobo with the Annex by Ardent Mills, and I just wanted to give you a heads up about some of the great things we've got going on locally in the state. We're headquartered right here, and we're working with farmers in the San Luis Valley to bring you amazing Colorado quinoa. It's just like the South American stuff, but grown locally. We've got transitional wheat flour that's grown by farmers in Colorado and surrounding states who are in the process of turning their fields into organic. So we're taking that transitional wheat and turning it into flour, and now it's available for you to cook and bake with. And last but not least, we're now cleaning grain berries in Denver. So things like spelt or wheat berries or pearl barley, those are things that we're now doing right here locally and are available to you. Can't wait to share it with you.
Hi, I'm Jeff Nations from Aspen Baking Company. It's really important right now to support local. That's why I support the Modern Eater. Now, back to the show.
All right, welcome back to the Modern Eater Show. Wrapping it up right here at Pizza Republica in Landmark, and with my friend George Eder.
Greg Hollenbeck.
I know, what a great show so far. Thank you.
James Doxson.
I know, a disciple of George Eder.
That's right. That's
Just
right.
good friend at this point.
Yeah.
I know. And
learned everything on it.
We actually worked together at Pizza Republica back in the day.
Right.
Now he grew up and he's like
Grew
the
up.
super main, like crazy successful chef.
I grew up. Yeah, it was child labor back then. Yeah.
Yeah. He was 12 when he started working for us.
That's right.
High tide raise all ships, and that's so cool watching, supporting, and then just blossoming into a very full career that you have right now at Vibe Concepts as a culinary director. As we're ramping up into dinner service, right? Employees are everything. You got to have folks back to work. Okay, state of the state. Today, George, tell us what you were doing this morning.
We just finished up all our paperwork for our second round of PPP, and we're, like everybody, gearing up for the reopening of restaurants, because we see restrictions easing, we see sentiment changing, which is the biggest thing. You can see the guests are a little more comfortable with going out. Half of my staff is vaccinated at this point.
Yes.
More are getting vaccinated every week.
Yep.
Same with the guests that are out there. So people's sentiment towards going out to eat and getting out of the house and exploring, it literally feels like springtime when you're in high school.
And restrictions lifted.
Restrictions are lifted.
And when you have a very erring on the air of conservative Governor Polis, who wants to make sure everybody's safe, right? Coming out and openly saying, I'm hoping by All-Star Week in Denver that it will be a mask-off endeavor. So when you open up, regulations loosen, and with more guests means needing more employees.
Yes.
It's a very easy equation. There were 2 times throughout this past year where you had to furlough pretty much the lion's share of your employees. Same with you.
Yep.
What does that mean? Putting them on the bench. When you're on the bench, what are you going to do? The more reading that I've done, and I read a really poignant piece from Eder today, actually, of where are all of the restaurant workers. So when you furlough an employee, PPP, Payroll Protection Program. That is a government-funded program aiming towards bringing your employees back to work. When you go for PPP, what's the first thing you do? You offer your employees work, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so at that point in time, they have the opportunity to say yay or nay. Correct?
Yep.
Okay, so there's one mindset that says employees are just sitting on the bench collecting unemployment for a myriad of reasons. It could be, I don't feel safe to go back to work. It could be, there's another opportunity that I'm waiting for. There could be a lot of reasons why, but when you offer them a position back, that's a job that has to be reported to the unemployment division.
Correct.
That says that they were offered a job. If they're still collecting unemployment, it's not because of a lack of an opportunity.
Yeah, and like the first go around at PPP, everybody was in the same boat, right? We offered it back, we paid out the PPP monies, took care of our staff, but that only lasted for like 12 weeks. We've all been closed for 60 weeks.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad I could get enough money to help them for the 12, but they had to live for an entire year of through a COVID shutdown, whether it be supplemental unemployment or that. So you got to realize restaurant employees can't wait forever to get their job back.
Yes.
They still have to feed their families, pay rent. 4 roommates living together still got to scrape together enough coin to take care of things.
Yeah.
Now that we're starting to come out of that, there's a $300 a week bump in unemployment.
Turbo unemployment.
So we got some turbo unemployment. It's not as turbo-y as it was before,
Yep.
but it's still turboed.
Turbo enough.
Okay, where they can get that supplemental. At least they can pay some rent or something with that. And, you know, I think a lot of people that were in the restaurant business, it was not an easy year, right? Some people just left out of either clear frustration or, hey, let's try a new career path to see if we like this better than the restaurant
what's out
business.
there. Okay.
See what's there, right? Let's go work for Amazon or Tesla. Okay, because, you know, hey, Amazon's always hiring and they're always growing, so is Tesla. Let's go work in an Amazon warehouse and see if I like that better than...
Or let's be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Let's try my own side hustle. Let's try my own gig. It was kind of the year of taking chances.
I should have been a professional Twitch video game streamer.
Would you have been good at that? Somehow,
No.
I don't know.
I'm terrible at it,
Yeah,
but-
maybe day trading, but not.
Maybe day trading.
Maybe day trading. So here's where the rubber hits the road. It's time to get back to work, right? People are making decisions. Turbo unemployment, I think, goes through the lion's share of the summer. It's only going to last so long, but there has to be an accountability factor. First of all, when we talk about service industry, a lot of friends and family, right? I mean, there's a lot of lifers within the business. But then there are a lot of transient workers through the restaurant industry. Water finds its own level in a lot of circumstances in life, whether it be relationships or jobs. You throw that water out there, it tries to find where the path of least resistance is. The path of least resistance with a lot of restaurant workers, servers, back of the house, is that maybe they're trying to find the best job that they can possibly land. You had a great notion of the reset button for hospitality and service industry to where you think it's going to go back to the youth and the youngsters, because the 10-year, the 20-year restaurant employees, maybe onto other things, are looking to the cream of the crop of that job. Go to that mindset that you
I think historically the restaurant business has always been the kicking off point for somebody's career. I know when I started working, it was at my uncle's pizza place making pizzas. It's an easy transition, easy to get into, and people are very willing to train. You know, when you get to, you know, a chef at James level, yes, it's still fun to go out and cook, but what's more fun is to teach somebody else how to cook and to show them around the ropes of the kitchen, or how to make a cocktail, or the steps of service, and you can watch little light bulbs go on and off in people's heads. And the real fun thing of the business, you can have some very seasoned service staff and seasoned bartenders, and they're to the point where they want to start teaching somebody else. You got to bring in the younger crowd and the rookies and invest that time and watch those light bulbs go off. You create new passions and new energies with that younger crowd, because the people that were in this business last year and that were there for 5 or 10 years, it was a tough year for everybody. They may be out of that completely. Some may be in real estate. Some may be growing weed. Some might be growing mushrooms. Some might be doing video game streaming.
Are we seeing that the appeal or the lure or the shine is wearing off the apple of working within the industry, because the industry just isn't viable right now because the money's not to be made with tip pooling, nuances, minimum wage, so many, lack of benefits, lack of health care? Are we seeing a correction that's happening right now, Chef?
I don't know. You know,
a lot of what I've seen in social media and a lot of people's posts and a lot of people's discussions that I've been hearing around lately is, yeah, a lot of industry people, whether it's line cooks or servers, are upset or disappointed by the wage that they were making. And I don't know if that's in relation to how much money they're making on unemployment and now they're spoiled and have seen that. I don't want to be negative about that. We also had the wage increase, of course, minimum wage increase, which for tipped employees is amazingly high now, and they're making very good wages. And we're definitely trying to be more competitive with those hourly wages and on the cook side, non-tipped employees as well. Now, so I don't know. I think a lot of people got a bad taste in their mouth, is what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing a lot
Use you when you need me. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Furlough me twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the loyalty?
And
Why couldn't you stick with me?
Right.
Well, let's go to that question then. Okay, we talk about now you've got to romance me again, and you're in a small margin business. I mean, making 7-8% off the bottom line as far as revenue goes, that's like unheard of. I mean, that's a dream. The margins are very small. What's the incentive, George? How are we going to get folks back to work, and how are they going to fall in love with the business again and making it a functional, everyday way of life to where it's not just a transient job, but it's a profession?
Well, I think, one, we all do this because we love it. And you got to reinstill that passion. And, for the first time, and I can't tell you how long, almost a year, we had a group food tasting with my servers. And we're going to start back to wine tastings and beverage tastings, almost like what we did here today, because it's starting to get to that safety point where you can do that. And as you grow that passion, you're going to grow people. And I think industry-wide, we all need to take a hard look at the discrepancy between what the front of the house tipped employees make versus what the back of the house employee make, and narrow that wage gap, which a lot of that is coming from the tip pooling area, where rather than your kitchen guy making 15, 16, 17, 18 an hour, which I don't, minimum wage, I don't care if they make it 17. You can't hire a dishwasher for less than, if for minimum wages now, nobody will work for that.
Here's where it gets sticky, because this is the quickening. This is the evening of balance again. But a lot of these professionals that came in, they could make a few $100 a night. They were selling themselves. They were selling their stories. They were selling their connectivity. If you're a great bartender, it shows. And it's like, why shouldn't I make all that money because I commanded this bar tonight? Why am I going to pay out this guy? Why am I going to pay out this lady? How is this going to all make sense for me? Is it going to become a day now to where hospitality is welcome to Jiffy Lube? May I take your order? How do you want your steak done?
No, I still think you want that personal connection. And yes, there are some very talented servers and very talented bartenders. But you got to remember, those talented servers and bartenders can't do with what they do without a talented busser.
But why wouldn't I go to real
without
estate?
A talented host, if you want to go to real estate, go to real estate. Where's your passion?
I interrupted your train of thought because I think it's really good. You're saying that it takes a team to be able to make you highlight. Yes.
To be successful. So why not take a team mentality to how the tips break down?
Great point. Let's take a look around right now. 100%. Jay, grab a wandering camera, because I want to show, here's a Friday before dinner service, and look behind you, George. This is your team that's at work now. This is training at its finest. This is the quiet before the storm, and you don't train right now. They're ready to go. What does it take to build a team right now post-COVID?
Dedication is what it takes to do it. You got to realize that everybody's an individual, and you've got to keep approaching it like that. We're all in this together, and we're not going to open up our seating until we're ready to open up our seating for us. Yeah. Regardless of what POLA says, is my staff comfortable and do they feel safe? So if I've got one person doesn't want to give a vaccine and 99 who do, until those 99 are comfortable and fully vaccinated, we're going to keep a distancing the way it is.
I guarantee you know each and every one of these individuals, first names, last names, probably their mother, probably if they have any kids, what part of town they live in, what their happiness is drawn from, what their hobbies are. Same with you, Chef. It's a matter of building a team that's a family, and that's really the appeal to why people want to come back to the service industry. They call it misfit toyland, man, and I mean, I wouldn't really necessarily disagree with that, but I also am very sensitive to the issue because these are a lot of my friends. And when you have friends that you see are suffering and reluctant to come back to the industry that they once loved because it pinched them, it squeezed them out of the business, how do we open that back up? I'd love to hear from each one of you. We'll start with you, George. What's the pitch to people to say, come back to work? I mean, think about it. Half of the restaurants are around that were before, and half of the employees of half of those restaurants are gone.
They're gone.
There should be an influx of employees with the amount of restaurants that are left. Where are the employees? That's the conversation we're having, George Eder.
They've transitioned to other industries. You know, survivability.
Grab this light. Talk to people.
Survivability is everything, and people are born survivors. If you lose your job, you're going to go out and find another one. You got to figure out how to pay that bill. And if I can't fulfill that need in the restaurant business for you to be able to pay your bills, and Jeff Bezos did with Amazon, or you went to trimming weed, or you went into real estate, and you know, a great DJ friend of mine couldn't DJ, couldn't do weddings all this past year. You know what he did? He got his real estate license. He's selling houses. He's figuring out a way to make it work. Okay?
But God bless you. You got jobs, though, George. You have jobs. You have people that you want to come see you. You want to put people to work. What's the incentive to come work for George Eder?
Because right now it's family, okay? And everybody asks me if I have kids, and I'll give them the same answer.
They're all here.
I have 2 wives, which are both restaurants, and when they're both up and running, I've got about 100 kids, okay? Right now, 37 kids, okay? So I got 1 wife and 37 kids now. The other wife is sleeping, and we're about to wake up all the kids at the downtown location. Okay?
I love that.
And that's it, because I have, you know, my same daytime expo has been the same guy since the first day we opened.
Yeah.
And that coming in May is 12 years ago. So Rafa's been there the entire time. He's still there.
You've got those same stories, James.
Yeah, Rafa. Oh my God.
Yeah. And he's still there. And we try and just treat everybody fairly. And yes, we're going to have to address this wage discrepancy and figure out how to make that work. And I think we've got a pretty good plan downtown that lets the kitchen make a little bit more, the bussers make a little bit more, and the service staff make more consistently. Because throughout this, you know, you hear a lot of gruff about tip pooling and that kind of stuff, or tip share, and then leveling out those wages.
It was inevitable.
Yeah, level out those wages, but it was inevitable. And I think the service staff and the bartender staff felt it most through COVID because they're not reporting all those tips and wages, so their unemployment checks are next to nothing. Okay? Where in the kitchen, yes, you're making 17, 18 bucks an hour. You've got a consistent wage. When you went to get your unemployment, with the boost, you were doing pretty good, right?
Yep.
So there's a definite catch-22. If this ever happens again, hey, you might want to be in a situation where everything's showing up on a check rather than taking it home, or, you know, taking it across the street to spend it on a shot of Jameson and a beer.
Totally.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've seen some of that too, and
James Doxson, Vibe Concepts.
Yeah.
And
we've seen some of that too, and we definitely have gotten a lot of front of the house employees back, but the kitchen is really hard to staff right now.
Interesting.
Because they're making such good money on unemployment, possibly, because they moved to a different industry, possibly. You know, who knows? And the big thing there, I think you touched on, is family, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is such a family. I mean, Vibe Concepts, we're all about the vibe. You have to have that good vibe between you and your staff, between you and your guests, between you and your community. And that family vibe it's always going to be there with us. You know, it's always going to be there at restaurants that care, like Pizza Republica and Vibe Concepts. And the biggest point that I want to make is all of these employees that don't want to come back, maybe because they were hurt by the industry or
soured.
They're just
soured.
they have a bad taste in their mouth. You know what? That's fine. If you want to find another, nobody's going to stop you from bettering yourself. Nobody's going to stop you from finding that next real estate job or figuring things out on your own. Good for you. Good for you. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get that family vibe from any other industry.
I agree.
Than ours.
I really
You're not
agree.
going to get that family vibe. So you're going to come back. I'm not worried about it.
It may start at the beginning again with the youngster.
Right, exactly.
And
We're going to get it back one way or another.
Yeah.
But it's because of that family and that vibe.
It's the evening right now, and truly, whether it's just because more guests or supplemental government infusion of cash through PPP.
And right now it's tough to get people to come in and apply because that big PPP stimulus check just hit, right? People are only a few weeks out. If you look at your bank account and it's full, you're like, yeah, let's go on vacation. Let's buy a big screen TV.
Let's string
let's
it out.
Get new tires
Let's
for the
string
car.
it out, sure.
Yeah, let's do this. I got a lot of friends in the business that, hey, they got some pretty good sized checks. They're gonna, go out, get a vacation, get this. Then I'll come back to it after I need the money.
Yeah. Last point from me, though, and I'm going to direct this to you, George Eder, because I think this is right up your alley. Here's the time now. The time now to where you have positions and you're looking through growth within your organization for folks. Tell people now's the time to get back to work. If you want to show operators that you're not dragging your heels, that you're ready to get back to work, that the opportunities are there, talk to people and tell them to get back to work.
Yeah, I mean, if you love the restaurant business and you made a career of it and it's your life choice, this is a great time to get back in. This reopening, for the first time in a year, I see light at the end of the tunnel of this is starting to ease. I was scared to death in November and December. On that second shutdown, took the wind out of my sails. Now, I can actually see that we're easing back towards a state of normalcy. And I think once we get there, it's not going to ever go back to where it went to before.
The longer you wait, the slimmer the pickings will be, right? So when you engage yourself right now, and that's exactly what you guys are looking for. You're looking for those people to say, I'm going to take the incentives. I'm going to get there, because right now, a lot of the sentiment that I've been reading and with my ear to the ground is a lot of these folks are taking chances and they're saying, you know what? Maybe there's a different steakhouse across town that I can be in a better position that with my being comfortable at, say, Joe's Eggs house, that I'm going to take that chance. I'm going to go for that bigger and better job, and the opportunities are there right now, but you got to get back into them immediately.
Yeah, you got to. I jump on it now. I think if you wait until June, July, those jobs are full.
Yep.
There's a shuffling of the deck
100%.
that's happening
100%.
right now.
Yep.
Shuffle the deck. Where do you land? I'll tell you what, the Modern Eater Show, these are the discussions that we want. This afternoon's been a fantastic thing of delicious fare. We ate some of the best foods, a seasonal menu that came out. Things are changing right now, and to get back to normal, if you want to be in this business, I don't think there's any better time to get into the business or to rejoin the business than right now. It's opportunities aplenty, and everybody's on the same playing field right now. James Doxson, thanks for spending the afternoon with us.
So appreciated. Yeah, thank you so much.
It's always great to catch up with great minds, and George Eder, none better than you.
Thanks for joining us.
You've taught us really community, great staff. George Eder, he's the one. He always puts his hand up. How can I help out the community? It really shows. We've been through a lot together. We're going to continue to be through more. But if you want a great experience, you're going to want to come to Landmark Pizza Republica. There'll be more things to come for you downtown at the Downtown Pizza Republica. But I'll tell you what, from Jay Parker and myself, Greg Hollenbach, we thank you so much for joining us today. We learned about this great company, FarmBox Foods, and also talked to the Grape Juice Group, and really
Danny
enjoyed
Keefe.
catching up with
He's my
Danny
favorite.
Keefe. He's a great storyteller. He'll be on the show some more. Your staff here is fantastic, and one thing that you did so well is hang on to those key people.
We did.
They've been here, and it's a testament to you, George. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up right here. It's time for dinner service. This is what we trained for, boys. Love it. Dinner
Time to
service
get
and
after it.
Friday night in the Mile High City. That's it. It's the reason for the season. Springtime, things are loosening back up. Support local, whatever you do, and get out to your local restaurant and have fun. Eat and tell the stories of your local community. The Modern Eater Show will continue.